Welcome back to Great Lakes Junction, everyone. It's been a long time since I've done a video now. We have this kerosene heater. It's been packed away in the shed for about the last 15 years. It's gotten very rusty. I don't know if it's salvageable or not, but we're going to take it apart, clean it all up, see if we can still get it working. We've always had plans of making a greenhouse, just a plastic type greenhouse. Don't know if we'll get to that this year, but if we do, we want this kerosene heater running so we can use it in there. So we'll see whether or not we can save this thing. It's made by a company called Candle. It was called the Energy Miser. It's a 10,000 BTU kerosene heater. We'll see if we can clean the rust out of this thing and get it working. We've had some mice nesting in it. So we'll clean that out. I know when I brought it out of the shed and put it on the workbench, a mouse ran out of the thing. So that's where he was living. Like we had some wasp nest in here on top of the fuel tank. Well, we'll do some cleaning up and we'll come back and see where we end up. Well, we've got everything disassembled. Got the mouse nest out of it, the wasp nest that were in it. So we vacuumed everything up. There's a lot of rust. So I don't know how much we'll be able to clean some of this stuff up. But we'll get a bucket of soapy water first and start washing stuff down, and then we'll try and take care of some of the rust. See if we can free up some of the moving parts on it. Make sure the igniter and everything works, and we'll see what happens. Cleans a lot of the dirt off of that. We might see if we got some silver spray paint. This was just silver to begin with, it wasn't chrome. Maybe we'll paint over some of the rust maybe on that. This part we really want to try and get cleaned up, because this is the shiny part that reflects all the heat forward out of this thing. A little bit more cleaning, but this part again was just silver paint and it's all rusty now. I think we're going to do a little more dismantling. I think the tank and the burner assembly, the battery compartment here, I think we can unscrew all of that from the bottom and lift all that off so we can clean this base up really nice. Okay, the more I'm disturbing that, the more I'm getting the smell of that mouse nest that was in here, just urine and stuff from the mouse. So I'm glad we took that off. So we'll give this a really good cleaning and get rid of that smell out of it. We have everything cleaned up and we sanded what we could for the rust, and then where it needed to be painted, we just got some spray paint out and touched things up. So we went a little bit further actually. This bracket was riveted to the base, and to clean things up properly I needed to get it out of the way. So I drilled the rivets out, and I have rivets already around here and stuff, so I wasn't concerned with that. I can rivet that back into place. Everything cleaned up good there. The top part was quite rusty, so we repainted that. The wick was in really rough shape. It was really was burnt, just like charcoal. So I went around the top of it, I cranked it up as high as it would go and squeezed it with a pair of pliers all the way around to break up that hard, crusty charcoal ends. And then I turned it back down the way it is now and just lightly went around here with a wire brush and got all of the charcoal bits out. So when you crank it up now, it's soft again. I think that wick will still work. I don't think it has to be replaced yet. The grill, there wasn't much chrome left on it once we sanded it, so we painted the grill. The inside portion of this cleaned up pretty well. There's a couple of spots where there was some rust that aren't real reflective, but they're very minor compared to the overall thing. The base was quite rusty. We sanded it smooth and then we re-spray painted that. And the base that everything mounts to, it was quite rusty, so we cleaned it all up, re-spray painted that too. So I think everything has been cleaned. And it's ready to start being reassembled now. Work on the base. The base came out good. Some scaly rust, like it's bumpy, but we cleaned all the heavy rust off, repainted it, so it's not too bad. Well, the igniter is not working. Those were new batteries out of the package, but I don't know how long they've been in the store. Perhaps the batteries are no good. The last time it was used many years ago, it worked then. I didn't see any wires broke off on anything when we had it apart. Oh, I think it may just be a dirty connection in there for the battery. That terminal on that end where the button part of the battery hits is really rusty. So we tried just a light brass wire brush, something soft, not to gouge it or grind the metal out. Doesn't seem to have cleaned it up enough, so we're going to go to a small grinding bit, see if we can clean it up a little more. Batteries are good. Well, the way it's supposed to work, I'll bring this a little closer. I don't know if it's bright enough to see in there though. No, can't really see. So it just uses those batteries to create an electrical short. It lifts this up. Your wick is already turned up, and I probably can't see it. There's a piece that moves over in behind here, and it has an element on the end that heats up. It contacts that wick and it's supposed to light it, but it's not heating up. So I'm confident that we have our contacts for our battery clean. The batteries are good. So I don't know if that element is broken or wore out, or if there is a wire off that I didn't see when I had it apart. Not a big deal. You can still lift it up and use like a barbecue lighter or something to get in there and light that wick. So we need to get some fuel for it and see if it actually works anymore. So we decided to take the cover back off, and we got the voltmeter back out, and we started checking our connections. We had power on both wires from where the batteries are. We followed that up, So basically one grounds to the unit and the other one's in the end of this little electrical element here that heats up. It's basically, if you've ever seen just a light bulb, that's really all it is a light bulb without the glass. So it goes in the same as the older automotive bulbs. There's a small filament in there, so if it had a piece of glass on it, it would essentially be a light bulb. And all it was a dirty connection in here where this is. So now, I don't know if it'll show up. So if this was assembled, there's the wick there that's turned up. So that glass ball that would sit there on top. So when you push that igniter, it lifts that out of the way and the igniter portion moves over and makes contact with the wick. And I'll see if I can get it on camera, how quickly that lights up. So there you can see it's glowing red hot already right there. So when that contacts that wick, that lights your fuel. The only other thing that I haven't shown you, there is to shut this thing off if you were using it. So you would turn your wick down. So you can see the wick there. So you would turn your wick down. That should extinguish your flame, and that's all you need to do to turn it off. This lever here on the front of the case where this is, it says auto extinguish, and the end of the button just shows you this on here on the button. So this has to be open obviously before you can turn the wick and stuff up. There's a button on the very end here that you would access by, there's a cutout in the side panel that you can push and it says emergency extinguish, and if you push it, it slides that over top of the flame, immediately putting the flame out. It's noisy, it's quick, just like that. So normally if I was to use this to extinguish the flame, I would hold that control knob myself in the front, so when I push it, now I can control how that slides back so it's not slamming shut. But it's there, it all works. So we'll get some fuel. We'll put some fuel in it, let it sit for a bit to give that wick, because it's quite deep into the tank. So we'll give that a chance to soak some fuel up and we'll try it out. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't work. She lit right up. I let the kerosene fuel sit for a half hour or so, just so it had time to soak up through that long wick. I think it does need a new wick though. I have that turned up as high as it'll go, and we're not seeing any flame. There is flame in there. Take a little bit of time and that should start glowing red, that element around the center. I can already feel the heat coming out of the top of it. It's starting to glow red in there now. And you can see the reflection of the red from the back, so it just radiates the heat out. Yeah, I can start to feel that now coming out of the front of it. Well, I guess that was a successful job. Get it cleaned up, it's working good. Just a small blue flame around the top there, which is what we want. You can't use these in the house though, they do stink. But they're good for if you're doing something outdoors. I said we used it for keeping a greenhouse warm and it worked great for that.